Hi everybody, you can hear me okay? Yes. I can't tell you how lovely it is to have you all here. It is absolutely amazing, and the programme we've had today so far has been incredible, but what an act for me to follow. Thank you, Tim, for your generous praise. I'm fortunate to have such a fantastic team behind me. I can reassure my board that I'm not looking to move to the States. Although there's no harm in having a conversation about what the healthcare package would look like. So let's get started. So in the late 1980s, a pilot group of a meeting of BBS parents was held at Heatherset College in Surrey, facilitated by representatives of Contact a Family and the British Retinitis Pigmentosa Society, the BRPS. The initial intention was that the group would be a branch, or the question, would it be a branch of the BRPS? At a subsequent meeting of parents, the decision was taken to be independent. The syndrome was multi-system disorder and it should have an identity of its own. So the first committee was formed with BBS parents Michael and Drina Parker and Chris and Dave Stoves, together with Heatherset College nurse Sandy Fonseca and mobility officer Peter Johnson. So this slide shows photos of Drina, Michael and Peter taken in the early 90s at this very hotel. So at this first meeting, the team decided to send out a questionnaire to all the Bardet-Biedl syndrome affected families. And this was the very first questionnaire collecting data about the syndrome. The group were determined to rewrite the medical booklets. Back then, we didn't have the internet. That makes me feel so old. So any information we had about our child's diagnosis came from dusty old medical journals, and they were written in outdated and often brutal language. So the group decided on a name. They would be the Lawrence Moon Bardet-Biedl Society, LMBBS. And a friend of a BBS parent designed the logo, a fantastic logo, free of charge, and that logo served us really well for 30 years. So during these early years, Michael Parker was chairman and Drina Parker was secretary, national coordinator, newsletter editor, conference organiser, and writer of information booklets. Anyone contacting the charity spoke with Drina. And what a difference it made, finding this incredible woman who knew BBS and understood. And I know others in this room will have been supported by Chris Humphreys, Julie Sales, or the amazing support team that we have now. And our aim and hope is that the experience will be the same, feeling heard, understood, supported, and with a sense of belonging. So 1993 was an important year for our charity. In the April, the first ever conference was held at Exwell Grange School in Coventry. And in the October, LMBBS adopted its constitution and gained charitable status. Today we have our largest number of first-time delegates attending, some of whom are in the early stages of their BBS journey, and others who have been living with BBS for some time. You are also welcome. We also have delegates who have been attending for years, and some in particular who attended those very first conferences at Exwell Grange and have been members for nearly 30 years. So we've got Margaret and Terry Begley, and Shane, Marie and Tom Ryan. Would you like to put your hands up? It's so lovely to see you all here. I may have missed others that have been there from the early days. And I know that when we started, when we first came, it was talking to you guys that helped us. So, you know more, all of you, talk to each other. You've got so much to learn from each other. So this current slide also shows a photo of the Begley family, the Humphreys family, and there's a group photo of the children wearing their LMBBS t-shirts. Even in the early days, the group was fortunate to attract specialist speakers. The third Family Day conference in 1995 impressively had Dr. Richard Lewis from the Baylor College of Medicine in the US presenting. And my understanding is that he was paid in blood samples, which he took back to the States. And this also happened to be Dr. Phil Beale's first conference. And meeting Dr. Lewis subsequently led to him moving to the US to join forces, where they made great strides forward in the discovery of BBS genes. So this slide shows photos of Dr. Biedl and Dr. Lewis in 1995. And Dr. Biedl's looking around 15 years old there. So Drina was successful in her application for a grant for the very first national lottery in 1995, which funded 3 residential conferences at what was then named the Stakis Hotel, and that's this hotel, the Hilton, where we've held our conferences for nearly 30 years. In 1998, Phil Beals and Drina Parker produced the first medical information booklet, More Than Meets the Eye. Following the largest BBS population survey at that time of 109 BBS patients and their families. And already in circulation were the Introducing LMBBS and the LMBBS Child at School booklet, which are also shown on this slide. In 1999, a seminal paper, New Criteria for Improved Diagnosis of Bardet-Biedl Syndrome by Phil Beals and Drina Parker and others were published in the Journal of Medical Genetics, and these diagnostic criteria are still used today. Having set the charity up, produced invaluable information booklets, established an excellent annual conference and connected with and supported key medical professionals and researchers, Drina retired from the committee in 2000 and Michael in 2001. The independent spirit, ethos and vision that our founder members laid down during those early years provided a solid foundation that can still be seen in our charity and conferences today. And Drina and Michael continue to be supportive advocates of our charity, and we have so much to thank them for. Unfortunately, they're unable to be with us in person today. However, they are joining us via Zoom, together with their son, Richard. You can all turn around and wave, say hi to Drina and Michael and Richard. So this slide shows a group photo of Phil, Chris and Drina, a photo of Julie and Kevin Sales, and a diagram of the BBS clinic service. It also shows a photo of Phil Humphreys with Professor Beals after making him president of the LMBBS in recognition of his support and commitment to the BBS community. All of the early work of the charity was done without the internet. Now imagine trying to support people, reach people without a website, without a database, no social media. And it wasn't until 1999 that we launched our very first website, again designed by a friend of the charity free of charge. Within a few years, we had almost 200 individuals with BBS and their families known to us, and 70 plus families attending our annual conferences. So following Drina and Michael's retirement, Chris Humphreys took on the roles of national coordinator and conference organiser, and within a couple of years, her husband Phil became chair. And for the next decade, they were the heart and soul of LMBBS. In 2009, Professor Beals applied for NHS England funding to develop the highly specialised multidisciplinary clinic service. Professor Beals was determined that the LMBBS should have their own contract to provide clinic support and facilitation services. He knew that a high level of quality support would be needed to ensure the success of the service. So we completed applications and budgets, and we attended meetings entirely outside of our skill set and comfort zones. And we were overwhelmed and a little bit scared to find out that in early 2010, our application was successful. And on the 16th of April 2010, the first BBS clinic was held at Great Ormond Street Hospital in London. Now, during that first year, our database grew from 200 to 290 patients. The following year saw another 90 referrals, and then we received a steady 20 to 40 referrals year on year. Our database now has over 600 patients and over 1,200 individuals altogether. Chris Humphreys, Julie Sales and myself were employed under the clinic's contract to run the service and attend the clinics, and for the next few years that was our main focus, establishing the service that we have in place today. At the 2015 AGM, members voted unanimously to change the name of the charity from the Lawrence Moon Bardet-Biedl Society to Bardet-Biedl Syndrome UK. And it was also at this AGM that Phil and Chris Humphreys retired after 21 years with the charity. 2 years later, Julie left BBS UK to launch a family business. It really was the end of another era. They were a huge loss to the charity and clinic service and were missed by us all. Nothing was ever too much trouble, and no stone would go unturned in their aim to provide the best possible service. They would be a hard act to follow. Chris Humphreys sadly passed away in 2017, and earlier this year we heard the sad news of Phil's passing, and it is fitting that we pay tribute to Chris and Phil together and in this setting, They were instrumental in the development of our charity and conferences, and their presence is felt here by all of us who knew them. We recently launched the Chris Humphreys Memorial Fund to support first-time families with attendance costs, which was something that Chris was particularly passionate about. Phil was incredibly moved when told about the fund. He chose the name and was determined to do some fundraising for it. This slide shows a photo of Chris with her son James, a photo of Phil and Chris Humphreys on the BBS UK reception desk, and a photo of Phil Humphreys sitting in this room, ready to chair the AGM. I have worked closely with the committee for 25 years now, and a common difficulty throughout that time has been maintaining a full board of trustees, hence resulting in the same few remaining in place for long periods of time. Our membership is a small community, and we all have incredibly complex and demanding lives, so understandably, taking on additional responsibilities is not a decision to be taken lightly. Once again, we're in a position where key and senior board members will need to step back in the next couple of years, and this weekend we are again appealing for new trustees. Diversity is hugely important. We need a wide range of skill sets, experiences, abilities, and cultural representation to ensure we properly reflect our community, and that collectively we have the skills and experience needed to effectively manage this brilliant organisation. Future trustees are in this room. Please talk to us if you think you have the relevant skills, or perhaps you have a family member that might be happy to help. So this slide shows a selection of photos of trustees past and present. By the mid-2010s, with our clinic service firmly established, a new board of trustees brought our focus back to BBS UK. With a growing community, the charity needed to grow to enable it to continue meeting their needs into the future, but first we had to focus on strengthening governance and our financial stability. Our current chair, Laura Dowsall, and treasurer, Abby Geeson, have been instrumental in this. The charity they joined and the one we have now are very different, thanks to their solid leadership and financial expertise. I cannot thank them both enough for all that they have done for BBS UK, and personally for their quiet support and guidance over the years. In 2017, keen to ready ourselves for greater research involvement, we developed the BBS UK Scientific Advisory Board with founder members Professor Beals, Professor Helene Samira, Dr. Elizabeth Forsyth, Abby Geeson and myself. Also on the board now are Dr. Shella Mohammed, Professor Tim Barrett, Dr. Lucas Falkensteiner, Dr. Beth Hoskins and Azrat Mertzer, and we are incredibly fortunate to receive their support, and with their help we've developed robust research policies and are now able to confidently engage with and support all the exciting research projects that we hope will ultimately benefit our community. In 2018, BBS UK became a charitable incorporated organisation with a new charity number, offering greater protection for our trustees. And this also paved the way for the charity to directly manage its contract with NHS England, thereby closing its subsidiary company and simplifying its organisational structure, which was completed this year. To mark this new stage in our journey, BBS UK rebranded for the first time in nearly 30 years, adopting a new logo with input from our community. We were excited to show this off at our 2020 conference. However, the pandemic sweeping across the world had other plans. Late February saw us agonising over whether or not we should cancel, but by late March that was taken out of our hands. With our staff team working from home, we were able to continue working, and our focus was on ensuring that government information was available in an accessible format and that our most vulnerable members had access to local support. Some of our clinics were halted due to staff members being redeployed. However, as we heard this morning, others were transferred over to telemedicine, which provided a lifeline to many. Quickly learning our way around online technology, we held our first ever online conference last year across 2 days, which was a huge success and enabled us to connect with many new members and those who were not usually able to attend our conferences in person. And we knew that our next event we would need to do a combination of both, with in-person and live stream. And I think we've tried that today. We've got a few glitches to sort out, but I think it's worked quite well. So we'll work on that going forward. The pandemic was a hugely difficult period for us all. At BBS UK, we took this time to review our publications and services to ensure that as a charity, we would come out stronger and better able to provide the support that we knew our community would need going forward. So where are we now? So we have an 8-strong board of trustees, as shown in this slide. We have Laura, Abby, Diane, Stefan, Rachel, Liam, Sheila and Azat. Juggling work, volunteering and family commitments, this selfless and generous group freely and willingly give their time to managing the charity. Their role is to oversee governance and develop strategy, which is delivered by the staff team. And we currently have 3 spaces vacant. We are currently a team of 7 part-time staff, as shown in this slide. Angela, Amy, Laura and Shirin, you all know quite well from the clinic service. Rebecca manages the advice service, supported by Shirin. Christine is our fundraising coordinator, and I'm operations manager. This team blows me away on a daily basis with their energy and their commitment to the BBS community. Nowhere will you find a more committed and passionate group of individuals. We heard this morning from Rebecca, our advice service manager, and I can't emphasise enough, and I'm sure you felt that this morning, is how invaluable this aspect of our work is. Rebecca and Shirin are both registered social workers. They know the systems and processes, and they understand the needs of our community. And I don't need to tell you how brilliant our clinic support team are. They work tirelessly to ensure that all BBS clinic appointments are filled and that all those who attend feel informed and supported to make the most of their appointment. So building on Dreena's early work, we have an updated and extended range of publications available in print, audio, PDF and Word. We have a medical information booklet, an introducing BBS booklet, and that's available in a range of formats. We have a booklet for schools and colleges, and my particular favourite, My Life, My Future, which is a guide for young people living their life with Bardet-Biedl syndrome. And we've got loads of copies available, so take what you need to share around at home. And of course we have our website and social media. So I've taken up enough of your time, but I make no apologies for this. I'm so proud of this charity. I'm so proud of this community. And I could talk for hours, but what is in our future now? So earlier this year, we published our 3-year strategy, which was developed out of the membership audit that we conducted in 2021. So this will inform our work and ensure we remain focused on the wants and needs of our community over the next couple of years. And I will talk a bit more about this in our presentation tomorrow. But overall, our focus remains on supporting our service users, you guys, to access the local support and services that is so desperately needed, and to continue providing excellent support and advocacy services to the NHS clinics. A new development this year, and I'd like to quickly mention, is the launch of our first regional group in Ireland. We're delighted to welcome some of the members of that here today. BBS UK is a keen collaborator and has supported and been involved with many groundbreaking projects over the years. It's in our DNA. We have heard today about the registry that's in development and the importance of our work with BBS International and other charities, and we will continue. We're committed to supporting our research and medical partners with their vital work and are humbled at the support that our community receives back in return. Our speakers and workshop facilitators today have given up their precious time to be with us. And last night we cheered in the Cilia cyclists, who are not only dedicated to researching BBS, but are fundraising and raising awareness as well. It's incredible. The next few years are going to be difficult. As you've seen, we've got the framework in place, a brilliant trustee and staff team, and so much support. But maintaining and growing our vital services is going to be a challenge. But as we've also seen, it is a challenge that we can all meet together, whether that's through fundraising, raising awareness, offering your professional skills, becoming a trustee. And you've heard about how this small but mighty charity has grown from humble beginnings, thanks to some incredible individuals along the way. So just imagine what we can all do next if we all work together. Thank you.